Well, thank you so much. Professor Dipankar Nandi is professor here in Biochemistry Department. And this afternoon session, before the panel discussion, he will be moderating, which will include four different talks, actually five talks, and then
Five talks.
so let's introduce our next speaker. I'm going to share his profile. So here you can take on Professor Nandi.
All right. Okay. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce Professor Dinesh Gupta, who is a group leader in translational bioinformatics, ICGB, and his group specializes in development and application of bioinformatic tools to understand disease biology. I welcome you to this symposium, Professor Gupta, and please get going with your presentation. I request you to stick to 25 minutes and 5 minutes for discussions. Okay.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
thank you. Thank you, Deepak.
Please share your desktop or screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we'll put it live. You can make it full screen. Thank you.
Yeah. So just. Yeah. So before I start my talk, first of all, I would like to thank Shashank for inviting me to deliver this talk. And I have attended few talks in the first session. I really enjoyed the symposium. It's a very nice idea and timely symposium that you have organized, and it was a well organized one. So today I will be talking about some of the recent work, one of the recent work that we have done recently during this pandemic, which is on AI-based classification of chest X-ray for diagnosis of COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. And before that, let me give you an overview of COVID-19 related research activities at ICGEB New Delhi. So there are different groups which are working on different aspects of COVID-19 related research. Some of them are working on diagnostics, some of them are working on development of new drug moieties. For example, Dr. Naveen Khanna's group is in collaboration with Sun Pharmaceuticals, CSIR and DBT is working on development of an anti-dengue pharmaceutical drug, which was now is being tested for COVID SARS-CoV-2 virus as well. And they have found some exciting results, and the trials are in phase 2 now. Dr. Anmol Chandele's group at ICGB is working on anti-COVID-19 neutralizing monoclonal antibodies. And my group at ICGB has been working on integrative analysis of various genomic sequences from different geographical locations. And we are trying to identify what are the variants which are responsible for differential actions and spread of the virus. My group also has developed an X-ray image analysis based method for diagnosis of COVID-19 and non-COVID-19 along with other chest infections, the topic which I am going to talk about today. Naveen Khanna's group is also working on COVID-19 microELISA, which is a test for detection of COVID-19 related antibodies in human serum and plasma and antigen test. And ICGB has also been working as a diagnostic center for various samples being provided by ICMR, and it is also has become a center for testing various antiviral compounds. This project is being handled by Dheeraj and Sujata Sunil at ICGEB. So the reason, the motivation for doing this work actually arose from work of our postdoc, Dr. Arun Sharma, who had recently developed a classification method based on images of rice seeds to classify them into various rice varieties. And this work was done immediately before the lockdown was announced. before the pandemic started, and we came up with this idea that since we have developed expertise in making image-based classification methods, why not we try it on chest X-ray based methods for detection of COVID-19? So this idea actually emerged from there, and moreover, the currently available COVID-19 diagnostic methods are very costly, time-consuming, and out of reach of rural population or resource-limited hospitals. Development of novel, non-invasive, low-cost, easily accessible, rapid diagnostic method is an unmet need in this pandemic, and most of the tests are being conducted in cities and large metropolises. If the pandemic is going to continue to various rural areas, then it will be important to have methods which are accessible to smaller hospitals in smaller cities as well. Recently, deep learning or artificial intelligence-based methods have been uh, showed to play an important role in classification of several types of biomedical images, including but not limited to various cancers, COPD, diabetic retinopathy, chest X-ray, CT scan, etc. So here is a chest X-ray and CT of the first patient, which was reported in UV, which shows clear-cut uh, bilateral focal consolidation in the lower lobes of the lungs, especially. So on the left side is the CT scan of the first patient, and on the right, that is the image labeled as E, is the radiograph of the chest of the patient on day 5 after the admission of the patient. And here also you can see bilateral diffuse patchy and fuzzy shadows, especially in the lower lobes of the chest X-ray. So studies have shown the potential of deep learning for classification of COVID-19 and non-COVID-19 CT images towards rapid identification and separation of COVID-19 infected patients. This work has been already published. But whereas the patients who are reporting to various hospitals may be having some other diseases of the lung, which may not be classified on the basis of the methods which are developed on COVID and non-COVID CT images. So there is a need for development of methods which can classify various other diseases from COVID-19 as well. Moreover, the current available chest X-ray images based on COVID-19 classification algorithms have several limitations and sources of errors. For example, the kind of data pre-processing they are using, that is, they are not putting filters on age group selection for the images, nor they are using uh, types of views of the chest. For example, if you are using different kinds of views in the chest X-rays, PA, lateral, and so on, that will make the efficiency of such methods not very good. Moreover, these methods have used very limited augmentation types. That is, augmentation is a technique where you modify the dataset image into different forms, which can be used for enhancement of the training datasets. So different methods which have been reported so far before we did this work had very few augmentation types. And moreover, most of the methods which have been reported in literature so far have used commercial software, whereas we decided to use publicly available software so that people can make use of these software without any problem. So moreover, the methods do not cover variety of diseases, regions, platforms, etc., because it has been found that the methods developed on images from a particular population may not work with higher efficiency for another population from which the images were not taken into training. And lastly, but not the least, there is no graphical user interface to provide access to such classification methods by different groups. So this is in a nutshell the basic study flow for development of the method that we have developed. we collected chest X-ray images from various publicly available data sets. Then we augmented our data set by various augmentation techniques. We rotated them, we produces some hues and so on. So that's how we enriched our training data set. And then we used augmentations separately as a separate data set, as well as collectively. That is, we used all the augmentation into one large data set for training. And for each training data set, we divided the data set into training as well as internal validation data set. And after training various AI-based models, we evaluated them on various external validation data sets which were not used in the training. And lastly, we also made a web-based interface, which we haven't made public because of the low efficiency of the method currently. So these are various sources of the images that we collected for development of our method. And you can see here that for COVID-19, we collected around 120, non-COVID 23, pneumonia 322, and so on. And then we put a filter for getting the images which belong to patients of over 18 years, as well as we took images which were PA view only, so that we can make the training quality better. So all the records were downloaded till March 18th. And this is the final data set after putting the filters belonging to various classes. And these are some of the figures to show what kind of image augmentations we used in our training data set. So for example, this is original, then we used sharpen, raise blue, raise green, raise red, raise hue. So all these provided little modifications in the images, which enhance the training of the AI model that we used. So we used around 25 different augmentations using a library called FlowDSA, which is an open source images augmentation library. And this is another flow chart to show that how we selected the database and how various training data sets and models were developed. So initially we had 603 images, and after using the filters, we ended up with 352 chest X-ray images. And the original data set was data set 1, where no augmentation was used. Data set 2 to 26 were individual augmentations. And then data set 27 was collection of all the images, original plus augmented images data sets. So in the end, with the final data set consisting of original as well as augmented images, we had 9,152 images. And again, we all divided all the data sets into 90% training and 10% for internal validation. And after optimizing the models for each of these data sets, we ran external validations on them. So external validation data set 1 is the data set which was available till we collected the data set information. And after that, till we developed the models, many more images were available on the public domain. So we use them as external validation dataset 2. So these are various hyperparameters which we use to train models, and we use TensorFlow and Keras library for training of the models for the images. And for original images and single augmentation based models, we used these hyperparameters, that is number of iterations were 400, batch size was 16, number of epochs were 24, image size was 256 pixels, internal validation size was 0.1, filters were 3, number of filters in various convolutional layers were different. So we increased them to enhance the training and then optimized the various models. Similarly, for all augmentation-based models, we had to use multiple iterations because we wanted to make sure that model training was proper because of a large data set of the images, over 9,000 images in the training data set for all augmentation plus original data set. Batch size was also slightly bigger than what was done for individual augmentation and the original images. And number of epochs also we tried different numbers to see whether we can get a better training with increasing the number of epochs. Other parameters were same. And finally, when we optimized the models, we found that none of the models, single method, single model was highly efficient for all the classes. So then we decided to see what are the combinations which can help us in making best classification model. So I will show you the images later on, but finally we ended up with 3 models which were able to classify all these classes of diseases on the basis of their chest X-ray images with high efficiency. And these 3 models, which we in combination are producing the best results, are available for download in our GitHub site. So this is just to show that on the basis of single augmentations, we found that the models based on 120-degree rotation and 140-degree rotations were performing best for various classes, though in some classes they were not performing as good. So you can see the circles in red show their poor performance in one of the classes, whereas their performance in other classes were quite good. So that's why we decided to have a combination of the classification models to see that they can perform with higher efficiency in combination. Similarly, when we compared the models trained on all augmentations together, we found that they were also not very efficient in isolation, and we again had to look for combination of various training models. So this is just to show that the model trained on 120-degree based augmentations, we observed that the efficiency was good in only 3 classes: non-COVID, pneumonia, and tuberculosis, whereas the images augmented with 140-degree rotation were performing well for other classes. So they were in a way complementing each other. And then we also found out that the all augmentation method in itself was not very efficient. But when we tried the input image with a rotation of 60-degree, we were able to achieve a better efficiency. For example, when we rotated the input image by 60-degree, we were able to get a very high efficiency for each of the classes. But yet there were some classes in which it didn't perform well. For example, new COVID-19 data set for external as well as for TB. So we combined this model 3 based on all augmented data sets with 101 epochs in combination with rotate 120-degree augmentation as well as rotate 140-degree augmentations. And in the combination, they all performed better in classifying all the images. So this is again to show that even the model with all the augmentations combined together did not perform very good for a few of the classes. For example, new COVID-19 and tuberculosis. But whereas in combination, they all perform very well. So these are comparison of our model with other studies and models which have been developed in literature so far. So many of them have not used age and chest X-ray views as a filter. So that's why they were not very efficient and not very reliable. So, and some of them even merged non-COVID-19 SARS patient images into COVID-19 images. So there was a misclassification in the training data set that we discovered when we closely scrutinized their data sets. And some of them even didn't classify or segregated images from different age groups. which could have led to the lower efficiency of their methods. So all these things that we observed, we took care of in our training data set, and then we were able to come up with a better classification model. So after making the final models, we developed a website which we haven't made public, but we may in future if we are able to improve the efficiency of the methods. And we have already put a caveat that this is a research server not meant to replace laboratory diagnostics. The idea was to give the access to various clinicians who can contribute by giving us more images for making our model better, by giving uploading their images from their hospitals and providing us some metadata about the images that they will contribute. And we are still in the progress of contacting few clinicians who can help us with enhancing the data set. So in the server, if you upload your image, there are 3 models and they will perform augmentation to the input image. That is, they will first rotate your image and then put it into the 3 models that we have set up for classification. So for example, when we uploaded this image, 60-degree rotation was performed to the input image, and then the model labeled COVID-101 epochs was used for making the prediction. And the last column gives the predicted class is given in the second column, and the last column gives the probability of being in the one of the classes. So you can see here that the first method has clearly predicted this to be a COVID-19 image because the probability is quite high, whereas the other classification models also predicted with same as COVID-19 with different probabilities. So the limitations of present studies are that training and evaluation of models on have been performed on limited number of images. So we need to increase the size of our data set to make it more efficient. We have used only PA chest view because we observed that only PA chest view were more in the data sets which were available publicly. We need to use different views to make it more robust. The methods developed by us did not use images from lung cancer, COPD, etc. So that could also have led to lower efficiency of individual models. And there is a dependence on prediction models only up to chest X-ray images data. That is, we have not integrated data from other sources. Lack of prediction of disease stage. That is, most of the data which is available publicly does not classify the images data set into mild or severe cases. So if such a data set is available in future, we can develop a classification model which can classify an image representing mild or severe disease from a patient. So AI conclusions from the studies are that AI-based classification can help rapid diagnosis of COVID-19 and other major infectious diseases. The models developed by us are a proof of concept that cost-effective, user-friendly, non-invasive AI-based methods can be developed for COVID-19. And in future, with the availability of more and more images representing diverse cases, the efficiency of the models may also be scaled up. So apart from this work, my group is also doing other in silico studies related to SARS-CoV-2, genome analysis, proteins analysis, and structural studies. So we have recently found that 42 microRNAs previously known to be antiviral potentially target ORF1ab and S protein. Prediction of an antiviral peptide that can potentially bind to S protein. Sorry about the typos. This is S protein. We have also developed a co-regulatory interaction network in SARS-CoV-2 infections, which is formed by predicted host microRNAs targeting virus genes and the microRNAs targeting the host gene itself and the transcription factors. So this has led to identification of various hub genes which can be of potential use for development of novel therapies. We have also performed network analysis, which has led to identification of hub genes associated with immune MAPK signaling pathways and those associated with antiviral activities. We have also performed in silico screening of for identification of lead inhibitors for important SARS-CoV-2 target proteins using various databases. And some of the work is already published. So I would like to acknowledge the students and postdocs who have made this work possible. So Dr. Arun Sharma and Shiva Rani has done the work which I presented in this work, and rest of the analysis and other work has been done by these students and postdocs in the lab. And I acknowledge the funding by Department of Biotechnology, DST, CSIR, and ICMR. And this is the paper that resulted from our work, which I have presented today. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Gupta. Your talk was bang on time. There's a question there, and I was wondering if you could take it. Do you have any side-by-side comparison of your AI-based detection of COVID-19, asymptomatic, symptomatic, along with RT-PCR and seroprevalence? Any correlations?
So the images that we have used in this study are publicly available. So they were obviously already screened for their authenticity. And we believe the contributors of the data sets that whatever images they have classified in their data set, that we believed and used it. So we did not have any other way of cross-checking it.
Okay. Shashank, are there any other questions? Because I'm not sure if I missed any.
No, Professor Kumar also had a similar question that is there any correlation between X-ray and RT-PCR data? I think that's addressed.
Okay. That's addressed. Okay, fine.
So if this is a general question, then the answer is there may not be 100% correlation because the lung involvement is seen only in the severe or mild cases.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Professor Gupta, for a very enlightening and useful talk.